Hi, this is Jeremy and welcome to Corel Painter 2015. I am so excited. This is an amazing version of Painter and we are going to take a little look at some of the fabulous particle brushes. And let's just start with some sketching. So what I have here is a background. It's just actually some of Turner's canvas, and I'm just going to create a new layer by clicking on the new layer icon there that you can see in the layers panel, and I'm going to start just doing a sketch. I'm actually going to do build up a self-portrait here during the course of this little demo, and I'm starting with a very simple brush called the Gravity Lazy Sketch. And what I like about this is just that it's very much resembles working with a pencil. It's very sensitive, it's quick and loose, and so I can sort of get some nice line work done very quickly here. And while we're working with this Gravity Lazy Sketch, I'd like to introduce a little bit of what's special about these particle brushes. So one thing is they're very organic. And in fact, as you start to watch what's happening with the brush stroke, and I'm now sort of, in a way, it's almost like smudging charcoal. So I'm working with some faster brush lines and overlapping my strokes and building up a little bit more tone here. Here we go. And what I'm going to do in this self-portrait is I'm going to start off just mapping out basic shape, basic form, and then I'm going to go back and start building up the light and dark contrasts with a variety of different particle brushes. I'm using pressure sensitivity, of course, in everything that I do here. So as I work with the line, I'm working with a Wacom Intuos Pro medium tablet. I'm just pressing lightly to get lighter line work. When I want to get a heavier line like here, I just press heavier. Okay, basic outline sorted out here, a little bit of background. And let's take a look. We've got this all in a layer. Let's take a look at some of the properties of this brush, and also in particular the specific properties of the particle brushes. Because at the moment this sort of looks fairly straightforward. You know, it's okay, just like working with a charcoal pencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Advanced Brush Controls, and that gives us access immediately to the Particles brush control panel. And let's just have a look. So in terms of some of the ways you can alter the brush stroke, so count. So a heavier count is going to give me more structure to every brush stroke that I do. So as you notice, I just increase the count, and now as I work with this brush, it's heavier, darker, and deeper. And by lowering the count and also lowering the weight, I can get much more subtle effects. So you can right away get a lot of control just using the counts there. And if I want to start bringing in a little bit of color, so right now it's sort of fairly black and white. Now let's bring in a little bit of sepia, sort of almost Conte color, sienna, like a burnt sienna here. And maybe a lighter color up here for some of the skin tones. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other ways we can control the behavior of this line. So I love the chaos, and one of the things about these particle brushes that you're going to absolutely love is the organic sort of somewhat unpredictability that can be built into the brushstroke. So first of all, let's look at global chaos. So at the moment, global chaos is down to 0, and I'm just going to create a line going down the side of the canvas there on the left, and now I'm going to increase global chaos to maximum, and I want you to see that as I go down in a straight line, we get this wonderful randomness of behavior. Now maybe that's a bit too much, so take it down a little bit more, and let's do a line on the other side here. So let's have a look here. Look at that, the wonderful sort of organic flow of line with a lot of unpredictability, which for me as an artist is actually very important. And that is all using the global chaos behavior slider. So you're going to have a lot of fun with this slider, and it's just wonderful to see, you know, what comes out as you start playing with a little bit of chaos. Okay, let's look at local chaos. So instead of the global, now I'm going to turn up the local chaos, and what you'll see is this adds essentially to the structure of the stroke as opposed to the main path of the stroke. And so here I've got maximum local chaos, and within the stroke, we'll just zoom in so you can see this. There is this wonderful fine sort of hair texture. Let's take that local chaos down a bit, a little bit of global chaos up, and then we start to get a combination of some hairy structure within the brush stroke combined with a meandering of the stroke, which is the global chaos factor coming into play there. Now there are other sliders here, and you can go through them all, but in terms of ones that you'll notice make a big difference right away, the force makes a big difference. So when you take that force up, and let's maybe take the global chaos and local chaos down a bit, you'll see that you get essentially a much more strident line with a little offset, and as I take the force down, it starts to become a bit more controllable and aligned a bit more with where my cursor is. So you've got a little bit of flexibility there. And of course you can go on and on and on. There's wonderful expression menus for all of this. So for instance, you can control global chaos according to velocity. So when you do a slow stroke, and let's take force right the way down, when you do a slow stroke, you get a fairly regular straight line, and then when you go fast, you get the perturbations of global chaos, and that's just by adjusting global chaos according to velocity. So you can play with those as well. Anyway, when you want to get back to how it originally was, remember you've always got your reset tool up there on the top left of the current tool property bar, and by clicking that you just return all the settings to the factory defaults for the particular brush that you're using. So let's explore some other brushes, and we are going to go and have a look at a variety of the different particle ones. And one of the ones I created, there's actually 3 particle ones, were custom brushes I created for the program. One of them is Gravity Deco Streamline, and this particular one reminded me a little bit of the Art Deco Streamline type of marks, and that's actually why I called it this this particular one the streamline. And I'm going to just use this here to start working in a little bit more with some tonal contrast. Combine a little bit of color. And build up a little bit of background here. Behind. And one of the things I like is that if I just very gently sort of stroke the stylus in sort of little S shapes sort of back and forth, I can start to build up some interesting structure there in the background and overlay different colors together. Let's check out a different one. This time we're going to go to Flow Fur Tail, and this one actually is quite interesting. And these brushes actually, when I start using them, they sort of encourage me to create quick gestural marks. It's funny how with the particle brushes, one of the things you'll find is that being very dynamic and very reactive to dynamic movement, they actually affect the way that you start to draw and encourage a dynamic approach to the way that you put down your marks. Really get some deep black there as well with a sort of furry edge. One thing about these is not to be afraid or timid with them. So I encourage you to really go for it. You know, have fun, make bold marks, try fast and slow brush strokes. So it becomes a very dynamic way to draw when you start really pushing the sort of type of marks that you get with these wonderful new particle brushes, which are sort of marks which we didn't really have access to in quite the same way in any earlier version of Painter. So this is one of the things as an artist that, you know, it's just brilliant, is when you get a whole new set of tools at your fingertips that can expand the sort of variety of marks that you can use for painting. Let's take a look at something else, the Gravity Concept Build. And we can even work in multiple layers here, so I'll work on yet another layer, and this time I'm going to work with this I think around the eyes. And a little bit in the eye there. Some light blue. Build up a little bit of dark tone. I'll catch light as well. And again, you'll notice this sort of wonderful organic form that just comes out as you start using these type of brushes. So it lends itself to a very loose, sort of sketchy, sort of mark making experience, really. And if you want to, you know, just a little exercise to kick yourself off here, why don't you just set up a mirror by your computer And as I'm sort of going along here, sort of mapping out a little self-portrait from also looking in a mirror by the computer, you can also do the same. Let's go to a different particle brush, and this time let's go to a wonderful thing called Spring Concept Scribble. Here it is. And scribbling is a wonderful way to build up tone in a drawing. And so with this, you have a brush that automatically gets you scribbling, so to speak. And let me just work with this, so I can work with lighter and darker tone. Like in the ear here, I'm going to use keyboard shortcut, Command Option on a Mac, Control Alt on a PC, just to work a little bit in the light and shadow structure and make it maybe a little bit smaller. There we go, of the ear. But yet the structure of what I'm drawing here is actually nothing but scribble. But that's what I love about it. It's got this sort of randomness to it. And if I zoom in so you can really have a look, let's work a little bit with shadow here in the lip. And you see how as I fill in the shadow area, what the structure of this stroke is as if you're doing tons and tons and tons of tiny, tiny little scribbles. And by using pressure, you can really have nice gradations of tone as well. Let's just take a look, see what's happening here, and let's work a little bit on the eye up there as well. So work into the shadow of the eyebrow again with the scribble. And increase the scribble size here a bit for something that's going to cover a bit more general. Build up slowly there. Then we get a little bit more shadow down here under the jawline. So all working again with this scribble. Let's go into the background. And just deepen the tone there. Maybe increase the opacity. And let's go to one of the other brushes in the particle category that is one of my custom brushes I created, called Spring Variable Dream. This one's got some interesting structure to it, and let's zoom in and just show a little bit of the structure. So you can see it's got this sort of almost space-like ephemeral, smoky structure to it. So there's a lot of these brushes which do offer some really interesting sort of very sort of almost nebulous, sort of ephemeral, smoky, there but not quite there looks and feels. And you'll notice that as I move the brush around, you're seeing that little preview show how it's building up these structures as we go. And let's just have a look here at bringing in a little bit more contrast, and I'm using this Spring Variable Dream here for shadowing, it's also got built-in some variable color, so as I work around, it's actually, the color is actually varying. And let's try the silk ribbon. Again, these wonderful sort of smoky shapes that you can get. And all of this, you know, you can integrate into your regular style of artwork, use it sort of very selectively and subtly where you want. So you've got a lot of choices in the way that you can build up structure with these wonderful particle brushes. Let's just build up a little bit more structure here. I'm going to make the brush size quite a bit smaller. Then we'll just go up here. Get a little bit of lighter tone in here. And let's just zoom in. I'm going to look at the advanced controls for this particular brush. I'm going to take the count down to get a much finer stroke here, and I'm going to do a little bit of finer work in the eye here. So you'll notice again how I'm just using the count and the weight as an adjuster for how much fine control and thickness there is to the brush stroke. And maybe a little bit more of a smile here. That's one thing about doing self-portraits, is that you tend to get really serious looking, you know, especially when you get really intense looking there at yourself. And so I'm just gonna maybe lighten up the mood a little bit. Gonna just increase the weight and the count here, get a little bit more contrast. Down a bit, and maybe just increase the size a little bit down here. I think I'm going to call it a day. I might just throw in one non-particle brush here, just for the fun of it, and that is in the cloners. One of the other brushes I created for this 2015 edition of Painter was the Oil Jitter Smooth Cloner, and we're going to use this with a very colorful pattern which is going to act as the clone source, and just use this a little bit put a little bit of color around the edge. I'm going to go back to the particles, and I think we're going to go to the gravity concept build and just do a bit of final fine tuning here. And a little bit of that concept scribble. And we'll just do a little bit of fur tail, bit of a heavier count. For the signature. just see what we got. So that is going to be the completed sketch for this little demo, and I hope that I've just given you just some idea of the sort of looseness, the flexibility, and some of the incredible variety of organic looks and feels that we now have in these incredible particle brushes in Painter 2015. So have fun using them and experiment with them, and as I said before, just go for it. Don't be timid. Just have a ton of fun experimenting with mark making. All the best. Cheerio.